Guess who's back?
It's Laura!
Guess who's back again.
Are we going to have to copyright?
Laura's back. Tell a friend.
Please inform your friends. So today...
Guess who's back?
Okay. Laura's been very, 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 very busy.
Yes.
It turns out running a shop takes time.
It does.
Who knew? So thank you everyone for your patience and putting up with my face solo in these videos for a little while. But today we want to give you a little catch up on all the books we've been reading. Mm-hmm. Isn't that right?
Yes. I got toothpaste on my face.
No.
Okay.
So a little catch up. Let's go through some of the books that we've read since turn of the year, maybe.
Yeah.
Just
so not quite a Q1 catch up.
no, but look at that's enough of a pile. There's enough of a pile over
Yeah,
here.
yeah.
It justifies the video.
I feel like we haven't checked in for a while.
Yeah.
So it's been a few months.
Yeah.
How is everyone? Answers in the comments. How's everyone been? Yeah, it's been a stressful few months on both sides of the Atlantic,
Mm-hmm.
and I just hope everyone's alright. Sending love. Wesley.
Oh, sorry. Just apparently not on the same wavelength today.
What have you been reading, babe?
Well, I thought I'd start by going through some of the books that I've read at our monthly book clubs that we've been doing at the shop.
Yes.
Because of course you would be missing our channel book clubs.
Yes.
Which, to be honest, if we try to run that as well as
Yeah.
all of the
The shop book clubs.
shop book clubs. Laura, how many sessions are you running for the next cozy club at this shop?
4.
And why is that?
Because I always do 2 sessions. I do a daytime session and an evening session. The evening session I just sent to the previous attendees and it sold out in an hour. So I set up a second session and that sold out in a day. So I set up a third session. So now I've got 3 evening sessions and a daytime session of one club. And then I also run a second club.
Which you have 2 sessions of that one as
Which
well.
I also have 2 sessions of that. So I'm running 6 book clubs.
So apologies for
This
not
month.
doing book clubs on the channel, but I think that's a pretty good reason.
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
yeah.
we could have, I suppose we could tell people what we're reading for the shop book clubs and
Yeah.
then, you know.
Well, okay, tune into the end of the video where we're going to go through the books that we're reading this month.
Yes. So what is the premise of your book club, babe?
So I run one book club a month, and that one is called the Better Worlds Book Club. And the theme behind that is that every month we read a book that is that kind of embodies the spirit of Ursula K. Le Guin. So books that can imagine different ways of being, different ways of living, different societal structures.
Yeah, like using the novel as a lens for us to inspect our own societies and how we can, you know, implement change in our own world.
Yes. So the first book that we did at the book club was Those Beyond the Wall by Micaiah Johnson. This is sort of a Mad Maxian, slightly dystopic future with 2 cities. One is kind of affluent and the other one is kind of poorer. The poorer city has kind of a more open society where they don't stigmatise like sex work or drugs or anything like that, and everyone's kind of more free to be who they want to be. But at the same time, there's still some violence in the system. I have to say that I didn't actually love this book. I found the writing quite difficult to get into. The first person perspective wasn't helped by the fact that the narrator was not very likable, and they are quite introspective, and you can't always follow them where they're going.
But was that a narrative choice on the part of Micaiah Johnson?
I imagine it absolutely is. So for some people, that might be exactly what you want. For me, I just didn't gel, and that's okay. You can not gel with a book. I'm not saying it's a bad book. I'm just saying I didn't really like it that much.
Okay.
But yeah, it was nominated for the 2014 Ursula K. Le Guin Award. So if that sounds interesting to you, Mad Maxian dystopic future with a gritty protagonist, check it out. I've got one more book from my book club.
Yeah.
While we're talking about Better Worlds. So this one was only recently released. It was Hiromi Kawakami's Under the Eye of the Big Bird. I hadn't read any Hiromi Kawakami before.
I had.
Laura's
I'd read Strange Weather Over Tokyo.
Yeah.
I really liked, especially Strange Weather Over Tokyo. I thought that was a great book.
What do you say these books are like? What's the kind of vibe?
So this is what surprised me about when I saw this had been released, is her previous works I would not call sci-fi.
No.
At all. They're much more literary, they're much more almost cozy, especially Strange Weather Over Tokyo. That's kind of it's a very touching love story about a woman who reconnects with her old high school teacher. They're just lovely, and her writing style is so sparse and pared back and just gorgeous. And
Absolutely.
I don't know if that's as a result of it being translated from Japanese, but it's just delicious.
100% noticed that in this book as well.
Yeah, so when I saw that this book had been released and I saw that it was Hiromi Kawakami, I was like, instant buy. You know, when you have those authors that you're like, yeah, instant purchase. So this was released, I saw it, I was like, wow, Hiromi Kawakami, and it's sci-fi? Yes, 100%. So I bought it just to read, and then Ross stole it for his book club.
And I'm not ashamed. When you say sci-fi, I mean, it is sci-fi, but sort of sci-fi in the same way that I guess Margaret Atwood is sci-fi.
Yeah, it's more speculative fiction.
Yeah, it imagines a future where humans are weirdly kind of going extinct, and it's kind of not made clear exactly why that is. But one of the things that people are doing to try to kind of keep the human race alive is they're basically separating off little pods, little societies, to accelerate evolution by kind of containing these pods together, and so different traits kind of emerge from the gene pool, and some of that is accelerated scientifically as well. And it makes a very, very fascinating book. I really enjoyed this one, actually. I thought it was beautiful. The prose is, say, very sparse, but very deliberate. And there's kind of room for silence and room to, you know, to dwell. Some incredibly profound elements in it. I really, really enjoyed this one. Definitely, yeah.
When I've read Hiromi Kawakami in the past, I first read Strange Weather in Tokyo, I can't even tell you how many years ago, translated in 2012. And I think I must have read it at around that time. And I found it so inspiring, because the way that she writes is so beautiful. It's almost poetic.
Yeah.
It reads almost like haiku. Because like what some authors would use 2 sentences to write, she can do it in, 10 words.
Yeah.
It's something that I try and implement in my own writing as a result of reading so much Hiromi Kawakami. I think she's just the most beautiful writer.
Well, there you go, Laura. Now you can read it.
Well, thank you. I was going to anyway.
Right, that's me from my book clubs.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk briefly about yours? Which I know you don't have all the books here, but we can still talk about them.
Why haven't I got them here?
Because they're at the shop.
Okay, so I have 2 clubs. I have Cozy Club, which we've briefly touched on. And Cozy Club is much what it sounds like. It's books that will, take you out of the horrors of... will release you from the horrors.
Capital T, capital H.
So for Cozy Club, we started with a lovely book called Letters from the Ginza Shihodo Stationery Shop, which was set in, again, it was a Japanese book, which was set in a stationery shop in Tokyo. And it was split into 5 short stories. And it was 5 customers that come into the Ginza Shihodo Stationery Shop, and the conversations that they have with the proprietor, and the objects that are important to them, be that a fountain pen that their grandmother gave them, be that notepads that they've been passing back and forwards with their boy that they have been crushing on at high school. And through the process of writing a letter, they kind of unpack their emotions, and it's just very wholesome and healing and lovely.
Very sweet.
It's so sweet, and everyone that read it at the club had a good time. And I'm not going to sit here and say this is, revolutionary literature. This isn't going to change anyone's worlds, but it was very touching, very sweet. It was a good time. And if you need a book that's just going to be like a big warm hug, I can recommend Letters from the Ginza Shihodo Stationery Shop. It was lovely.
That's by Kenji Ueda.
Yeah.
So I can see that being revolutionary for people who are kind of influenceable like you, perhaps. I did notice that you...
I did go away and buy a really expensive notebook and pen. No, okay, fine. That's valid.
So what was the other cozy book that you read?
We also read Legends and Lattes.
There you go, it's in your pile.
Oh,
Put
is
it in
it?
your pile for you.
Hey! And this is a beautiful edition.
Yeah.
So we also read Legends and Lattes by Travis Baldree, and this was one where we did Letters from the Ginza Shihodo Stationery Shop first, and then I said the next one we're going to do, guys, is Legends and Lattes, and all my club members went, what? And I went, yes, it's about an orc who gives up adventuring and opens a coffee shop. And some of them were like, what's an orc? And I was like, it's like a corruption of an elf.
Melkor corrupted the elves because he could not create himself, and so therefore the orc came about in the first age.
I'm a nerd. Everybody, and when I say everybody, every single person that came to Cozy Club and read Legends and Lattes loved the book. Literally every single one.
Yeah.
Even the people that said that they'd never read fantasy before, everybody liked it.
It's a great book.
It's great.
It's a great book.
It's a great book. Travis Baldree absolutely knocked it out of the park. And again, it's not revolutionary. It's not going to change anyone's... Well, I say it's not going to change anyone's lives. One of the book clubbers told me afterwards that she was considering giving up her stressful job and going and doing something more wholesome, and that would give her more fulfillment.
Yeah.
Because of reading Legends and Lattes. So maybe it is a revolutionary book.
Quiet, cozy revolution.
Quiet revolution.
That's the theme for the channel this year.
So yeah, that's Cozy Club. The other club that I'm running is the In Translation Club, which is where we read translated fiction. So from places and cultures that people in Tunbridge Wells especially are unlikely to have encountered. And in Translation Club, so far we've read a South Korean novel called Your Neighbour's Table, which is about a fictional community living experiment in just outside Seoul, where in order to get a space there you have to commit to having 3 more children in order to tackle the decreasing birth rate in South Korea. And
it sounds a bit like the Hiromi Kawakami one in a way, just without the future.
I mean, I didn't love this book as much as some of the other books that we've read. It was very interesting. He kind of looked at different couples that went into this scheme, and some of them were better padded out than others. There were some really troubling elements, and I know that was a deliberate thing that the author had included to make a point. So it's important, and that's the thing with the In Translation Club, is these are books with heavy themes. These are books that are going to teach us something about the world and ourselves. And as much as I can't say that I enjoyed this book, it was a good book, you know? The second book that we read for In Translation was Crooked Plow by Itamar Vieira Jr., which is a Brazilian novel set 2 generations after the abolition of slavery in Brazil. And it's set in the poorest region of Brazil, and it follows a family of indentured subsistence farmers. And it's magical realism. 2 young girls find a knife under their grandmother's bed and are briefly enchanted by how shiny and mystical it looks, and for some reason decide to, quote, taste its metal. And the result of which one of them content warning, one of them accidentally cuts out her own tongue. It's heavy, but this book is incredible, and I think it's the best book that I've read so far this year.
Yeah.
It was a divisive one, so at the club there were some people that really had struggled with it. One book clubber in particular was like, I felt really uncomfortable reading this, but others took so much from it because it touched on so many big themes. The impact of slavery in Brazil, the continuing legacy of racism and the abolition of slavery in Brazil, the lives of these incredibly impoverished individuals, you know, their religion, their spirituality, when a person feels like they can't communicate for themselves, when they literally can't communicate for themselves.
Oh, yeah.
Was that a metaphor? It was extraordinary. Absolutely. And yeah, so that's In Translation.
At the end of the video, we'll go through some of the books that we're going to be reading this month. In fact, I'm going to put that down before you see it.
They might have already seen it.
Okay. We've read one non-fiction book together, and I've read some extra non-fiction books too. I just felt like having a bit of a non-fiction resurgence. I picked up a book I've been meaning to pick up for a while now, which is The Wager. And if Crooked Plow is the best book you've read so far this year, The Wager was the best book I've read so far this year.
Big word.
Yeah, it's brilliant. And I immediately picked up The Lost City of Zed by David Grann and read that too. So it's been a it's been a David Grann year so far. Killers of the Flower Moon next up. The Wager is, if it's a story you don't know, then be prepared, because you're going to read this and you're going to go, that happened? It's kind of like it's a story about a shipwreck, where basically the sailors who'd survived were then stranded on an island, and then it kind of goes into the ways which they try to survive, and the characters involved, including the grandfather of Lord Byron. I know, that's Lord Byron. Crazy. Amazing story. Impeccably told. So David Grann. The Lost City of Zed I didn't enjoy quite as much because he spent a bit more time autobiographically, talking about his own experience going into the jungle. But I still did enjoy that one as well. But this is brilliant. Also in non-fiction, I finally read The Rise and Fall of the Dinosaurs by Steve Brusatte. I've been on a bit of a dino binge as well.
Have you shown them your new tattoo?
Yeah, I did in a previous video, but those who didn't watch it, Spinosaurus. This one I really enjoyed as well. Had a similar problem to The Lost City of Zed in that it's most enjoyable when it's on topic, and then it strays off to talk about the history of paleontology as well, which is interesting, but less interesting than the dinosaurs themselves. So I really enjoyed all of the prehistory paleontology going on in here, but less so the actual kind of Steve Brusatte talking about his friends and all of that. It's fine, fair. It's fair, but anyway, I do recommend it for people who are interested in dinosaurs. I then read a book called The Future of Dinosaurs. I don't have a physical copy of that one. That was very interesting because it, again, looked at kind of paleontology and that how we expect our understanding and knowledge of dinosaurs to grow over time as the science expands. And it talked about the things we can know, the things we can't know, and the things that maybe we might be able to know. If you haven't watched Prehistoric Planet on Apple TV, what are you doing? Go watch that. Forget reading for a little while.
After this video.
Oh, yeah. Finish the video and then go and watch that. It's incredible.
Okay.
Last non-fiction book we read.
So, last non-fiction book. We read this together after the Neil Gaiman allegations came out. And, yeah. This is Monsters by Claire Dederer. And this is it's basic. It's not even like what you should do when you find out that one of your heroes has done an abhorrent thing. It's kind of a reflection on the various different routes that you can take. So you can say, enough, I'm never touching anything that this person's ever done again with a barge pole, or you can be at the complete opposite end and completely separate art from artist. And what's quite good about this book, I thought, was that she's not saying this is the correct thing to do. Yeah. She's just saying these are various approaches and it's up to you to make that decision, but I'm just going to present you with the options and you can do with that what you will. We won't get into it. Personally, no, we won't get into it.
We're not going to get into it.
We're not going to get into it.
There's been plenty of discussion online about it.
Yeah.
It's hard.
Go and read Monsters.
Just go and read Monsters.
Yeah.
Moving on, Laura.
Yes.
In the last few months, you've discovered a new favourite author.
Yeah.
Perhaps not favourite, but among the favourites.
Up there.
Very much up there.
I'm loving TJ Klune at the moment. I ripped through The House in the Cerulean Sea in about 3 days. I just absolutely loved this book with my whole heart. I would die for Linus Baker. I would die for Arthur Parnassus. I would die for all of the children at the Marseilles orphanage. I just love this book. I just think it's absolutely lovely and everyone should read it. It's a big, cozy hug. So I finished it at about 1 a.m. and I was just blubbing my eyes out in bed, just. And Ross just rolled over and was like, "Oh my God, are you okay?" I was like, "It's just so beautiful. I just love them so much. I would die for all of these characters." TJ Klune has really made something very special here. yeah, this was a real surprise to me. I did not expect to love it as much as I do. It's rocketed up my list of favourite books. It's just gorgeous. I just love it so much. I just love it.
I'll have that one because I can't want to read that now. You've completely stopped.
I have a reading paperback upstairs.
Okay, I'll read that one.
And then I followed up with the follow-up.
You know it's good when you read a book and you immediately have to read the sequel,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. So I read the sequel immediately afterwards, which is Somewhere Beyond the Sea, which is also gorgeous and beautiful and lovely. I will say I did not enjoy it quite as much as The House in the Cerulean Sea.
It raised the stakes, didn't it?
It did, it did. And I wasn't really ready for the stakes to be raised. I just love these characters so much. TJ Klune has done something really, really special. This is an easy 5-star, House in the Cerulean Sea. Like, easy 5-star. This is probably a 4.5. Still really, really good. But not quite at the heady heights of House in the Cerulean Sea. So what else have you been reading, my love?
Well, I finally got around to reading book 6 of the Sunny to sequence. This is the most recent one that's been released. Shadows Upon Time is coming supposedly this year. So this means I'm up to date on Hadrian's story. And let me tell you, I have deep feelings about this book.
I was witness to the feelings.
Some of those feelings are that this is incredible. It's had 6-star moments, like to the same level that like Howling Dark had 6-star moments. And then it also had some 2-star moments that I didn't enjoy as much. I think this is probably the most annoying Sunny to book, but it also goes into, I think, the deepest into the philosophy, and Christopher Ruocchio's philosophy definitely comes out on the page as well, which may be your flavour, may not be your flavour. I have lots of thoughts that I need to unpack, and I'm thinking of doing that in a future video to save you all the energy. But yes, Disquiet Gods, yes, on average, 6 plus 2 divided by 2, it's 4 stars. Yeah. One more book that I've been meaning to read for a very long time is The Ladies of Grace Adieu by Susanna Clarke. This is a collection of short stories set in the same world as Jonathan Strange, which is our world, but with magic. And this is written from the perspective of a folklorist of the She Studies. Is it Shiva? It's a Celtic word meaning fairy. Basically, that's the framing device, and then it's a series of short stories written in various narrative modes. I think my favourite one of those was Mr. Simonelli, or The Fairy Widower, because that's actually written from the perspective of Mr. Simonelli, who is a very, very interesting narrative voice, and it's kind of slightly epistolary, or it's written from like in journal entries. I just thought that was fantastic.
This is a beautiful edition.
It is beautiful, isn't it? That is a first US edition with deckled edges.
So pretty.
Yeah, and we got Susanna to sign it as well when we saw her at the South Bank Centre. So this is a very precious item right here. Very much enjoyed this book. It's not quite at the same heights as Jonathan Strange, because nothing could be, but I still had a fantastic time. Some of those stories were just brilliant and beautiful. And I think that kind of gets me up to date.
I am currently reading my current book club book, which is called Marta 210, or Mata 210, I'm not quite sure, which is another Korean novel set during the Japanese occupation of Korea. And this is for In Translation. It follows a family of striking railway workers when their jobs are disappeared. So far, it's amazing. I'm about 30% in. It's full of surprises. Like, there've been so many twists already that I just was not expecting at all.
It's quite a thick book as well, isn't it?
It's massive.
Yeah.
And the text is small. It's here. So it doesn't look that big, but the text is tiny.
That is actually really small.
It's really small. I'm really enjoying it. It was nominated for the International Booker last year. It was on the shortlist, in fact. I know some of my book clubbers have struggled with the size of it. It is quite a big book for a book club, but I'm really hoping that everyone gets on board and we can have a really good discussion when the club comes around. That's one thing that I'm reading at the moment.
Very nice.
I'm also reading Greenteeth by Molly O'Neill, which I'm not going to say too much about because I'm going to talk about it in a future video with some friends, but I'm enjoying this too. And finally, I'm rereading for the third time, or possibly fourth time.
At least third.
At least third time, A Psalm for the Wild Built by Becky Chambers. This is my cozy club book for this month.
Yes.
This is the one that has sold out twice. I loved this book the first time I read it. I loved it the second time I read it. And I'm loving it now. It's just stunning. It spawned a whole subgenre called hope punk. I've had lots of my clubbers come in already to say that they'd finished it and they loved it and have bought the sequel, which is called A Prayer for the Crown Shy. I can't get enough of this book.
I'm currently reading The Message by Ta-Nehisi Coates, which she just released this year, and it's all about how writing can be used to basically convey a message and have that message kind of stick. And it's just incredible. His writing is extraordinary. And I am also just finished reading for the Better Worlds Book Club, The Dispossessed by Ursula Le Guin, and I have lots of thoughts on this one as well, which I'm going to save again for a future video. This is a very, very interesting book, and I think I'm going to have to reread it basically immediately. So much to unpack. Books that you want to read, Thora, and that you're going to read after the books you're currently reading.
Ooh, I want to get some more TJ Klune onto my belt, so I might read Under the Whispering Door. I know he's got so many, so I haven't really looked into which one I want to read next. So I need to pick my two next books for cozy and for in translation. I have no idea what I'm going to do for next month. So suggestions in the comments. Cozy and translated fiction, please.
I know one you want to read.
What?
Because it's one I want to read as well. The Sainted Bright Doors.
Oh my god, yeah. So I actually bought the paperback of this, and then our friends at Inkstone, hi Brett, hi Charlotte, released this stunning special edition of it. Oh, you're thinking of doing this for your book club now?
I am thinking of doing it for my next book club. It was nominated for the Ursula Le Guin Award last year.
Yeah.
And it sounds incredible. I've been waiting to read it for a little while. It seems like a good opportunity. I also, because of how much I'm enjoying The Message, I feel like it might be time to read The Water Dancer.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Ta-Nehisi Coates' fiction book.
Yeah.
Heard a lot of good things about this one. Oprah said it's the best book, one of the best books she's ever read, and reminds her of Beloved.
Ooh.
Toni Morrison.
I do want to read some Toni Morrison as well, actually. I really want to read The Bluest Eye. There's so many books I want to read, guys.
This is the problem of doing time at a bookshop. You're always surrounded by books you want to read.
It's so annoying.
Yeah.
Let me get my tiny violin.
Thank you everyone for joining us. This was not perhaps the most structured of videos, but I hope you enjoyed
our
ramblings.
We've missed you. I hope you've missed us. We promise we'll try not to leave it so long next time. I can't promise.
We'll try.
But we'll try.
We'll try.
Follow us on Instagram, either at Hardy's Books or at Station Books Tunbridge Wells.
Either or, you can't follow both.
I will say I'm updating Station Books pretty much every single day.
Yeah. So if you want Hardy's Books content, you're probably better off following that one.
Yeah. If you've enjoyed this video, please give us a like, hit subscribe, all that jazz, all those good things.
Oh yeah.
And we love you and we miss you and